Homecoming in Tallahassee. Welcome back to Doak Campbell Stadium. Florida State playing Wake Forest in an ACC tilt here in Tallahassee. The Heritage game, a prime time matchup between the Noles and the Deacs. Everybody ready to rock from Doak Campbell Stadium. The beautiful turquoise gear, and the Seminoles looking for their fourth victory of the season. We'll be under the lights here tonight. I'm Ariya Massoudi. That's Eric Luallen, and this is, of course, Game Day Live presented by Bud Light. Look, Lulu, this is another game for Florida State after the bye week, trying to get their mojo, trying to find a victory against a Wake Forest team that's been playing really well as of late as well.
Well, yeah, it's a Wake Forest team. They come in, they're 5-2 on the season. And when you look at this and you look at odds makers and things like that, Florida State's a heavy favorite. I don't know that really makes a whole lot of sense. Florida State, I think, has to come out and they have a lot to prove in this game tonight, playing against what I think is a very tough Wake Forest football team. And you'd just like to see Florida State, that they made progress during that off week and took advantage of the week off and really got out there, got after it, and corrected some mistakes and found, like you said, that mojo.
Yeah, it's a Seminole team that's looking to get right. They've got all three of their wins have been at home in Doak Campbell here this season. Maybe a primetime matchup gets the energy back. Homecoming, you got people coming back from all over the country. They've had a great week here as well with homecoming. But this is a game for Florida State. They've got to have a fast start, in my opinion, because it's a Wake Forest team that plays with a lot of belief right now.
Well, and you look at Florida State, over this 4-game losing streak, the last time Florida State actually scored first in the game was against Miami. So that's the only game in the 4-game losing streak where the Noles have actually scored first. They need to change that. They need to come out, get on the board early, and get control of this game. And don't let Wake Forest think they've got the upper hand. Don't let them think that they control this football game. Come out and take control of it yourself.
Yeah, no doubt about that. It's a Florida State team that the last time they played Wake Forest, they won 41-16. That, of course, though, Jordan Travis was here in Tallahassee. You had Johnny Wilson and Keon Coleman as well at wide receiver. For Florida State, they're trying to look for something not just offensively but defensively as well. It's a big game for Tony White's defense, trying to find ways to create pressure.
Yeah, and you look back, they've had some periods of success so far this year, but they need to put it together for an entire game. And when you go back, obviously the first 3 games, the defense was one thing. But since then, over this 4-game losing streak, the defense has had these periods where they've played very well, but they really haven't been able to put together an entire game. They need to do that here tonight against Wake Forest.
Yeah, and it's a team that's trying to do it together, right? The offense has had moments of 400 yards or more. They're putting up points. The defense, the last game, I should say, 2 weeks ago against Stanford, did a really nice job, especially in the second half. They're trying to find that chemistry here to have complementary football.
Yeah, going back to that Stanford game, they hold Stanford below 300 yards of offense, and that's winning football. So you do that, and you have that kind of game. You should be able to win some football games. Obviously, the offense didn't contribute the kind of points that you need then to come out on the winning side. So they need to have that kind of effort across the board from everybody here tonight against, again, a Wake Forest team that is a better football squad than Stanford.
Yeah, they are without a doubt. It's a team that's found ways to win close as well. They've got a 2-quarterback system. We'll get into more of that as the show progresses. But for Florida State, offensively, it's a team that boasts one of the nation's most explosive offenses. I did not know that they still lead the country in plays of at least 40 yards. They've got 16 of those, so Gus Malzahn's offense is still trying to find ways to be able to stretch the field. I know that's one of our keys. We'll talk about that further later on in the game as well. But the Seminole team offensively, you talk about a fast start. It feels like offense with explosive plays could lead to that.
Well, and that's exactly it. You look back at that Stanford game, and again, only produced 13 points, but that's off of 444 yards of offense. So when you look at that kind of yardage, you would expect the team to put up more points. And again, defense holds the team to 20. You should be able to, off of 444 yards, put up more than 20 points. Florida State wasn't able to do it. They did have a couple of big games big plays in that game against Stanford, but they really just had trouble finishing off drives. You look at, like, the last 3 drives, 163 yards of offense, but no points. So you've got to be able to put together the big plays, but you also need to finish off those drives. Sometimes those two things go hand in hand. You hit that big play and you finish off a drive with the big play, and I think Florida State needs to get back into that here tonight.
Yeah, you know, one of those guys that they've been going to when they've needed the big play is Deuce Robinson, the transfer for Florida State from USC. Tommy Castellanos loves going to him early and often. He's going to be a key in this one for Florida State out wide.
Well, again, we've talked about this all year long, about the way he's able to use his body, use his speed to get himself in a good position on those throws from Tommy Castellanos. And he and Mekhi Danzy, who we're going to talk about too, they both have these big play abilities, but they go about it a different way. Again, Robinson uses that body more. You're able to throw it up. He's able to go up there and outfight the defender for it because of the great height, because of the leaping ability. And that's how you need to keep – what you need to keep in mind when you're trying to get that big play out of Deuce Robinson is how you need to throw it for him to best take advantage of his skill set.
I think one of those ways, too, Lulu, to your point exactly, is they've been going to the back shoulder, right? Especially when he gets one-on-one matchups, the ability to have a true number one wide receiver that Tommy can rely on, whether that's in the pocket or when he's scrambling to try and find something on the break. Robinson's been able to use that frame to be able to give an advantage.
He is just so strong as far as his body goes when he doesn't have the football. When he's jockeying for position, when he's trying to get the upper hand on the defensive back, he's so strong. He's very hard for a defensive back to push off his spot. And that's one of the things that makes him so effective. Then having that height, having that leaping ability where he can go up and get the ball once he gets himself into that position, it's such a big advantage for a guy who has all of those tools together.
Yeah, without a doubt. I think one of the things, too, for me specifically is finding ways to get Deuce Robinson the ball, maybe in different ways. They've stretched the field with him. They've gone on deep out routes, post routes, fly routes. Can they find ways to get him on the screen game so that he touches the ball 6-7 times? I know against Stanford he only had a couple of catches. When he is your best wide receiver and he is one of your best overall offensive players, you want to find ways to get him the ball, right?
Well, and I think, too, use him in the slants. You might normally think slot guys, quicker, faster guys on the slants, but I also think that could be a tremendous advantage for him because of that size. He's still got great speed. And his body, the size and the advantage he can get, even running a slant, he can get himself into such a good position that I think that's a tool that we haven't really seen from him this year that they can go to try to create those opportunities.
Lulu, is there an area for him that he can take the next step in to take the next step in the level of his progression as a player?
One thing I really haven't paid a whole lot of attention to with him is blocking. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to wide receivers and how they're able to separate themselves from others at that position is how they block in the running game, how they react when they don't have the football. And that's one thing, that's usually the thing that separates the really elite guys from the next level. And I think that's something that obviously you take a look at with Deuce Robinson to see where he is as far as that part of the game. That was something his dad was pretty good at.
No doubt about it.
So, I would be surprised if he's not very good at that as well. It's just not something that I've really been able to pay attention to that much this year with him.
That's something we'll keep an eye on for a Seminole offense that has topped 400 yards of total offense in 6 straight games. And another reason for that is a guy like Mekhi Danzy, who has found ways to get involved in the passing attack. You've seen what he can do in the rushing attack as well. But that's been one of the pleasures, at least in my opinion, of the season, has been watching Mekhi develop as a true wide receiver.
Well, and again, we talked about Deuce and the tools that he's got. Danzy has been a big play threat as well, both in the running game and the passing game, but he's got a different skill set. He does have a long, lean body, kind of like Deuce Robinson. He's not quite as tall, but he can go up and get it if he needs to. But his speed is his main weapon, and he's a guy that you can go to when you need that big play, throw it up, let him run under it. It's very, very hard to overthrow a guy that has the kind of speed that Mekhi Danzy does. There's football fast, and then there's track fast. And Mekhi Danzy is track fast, and track fast is a completely different level when you start talking about speed.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think there's also another level of fast. That's ACC champion in the 400 fast. That's when you get rewarded and you get a chance to be potentially an Olympic sprinter as well. A guy like Mekhi Danzy, sealing the numbers on the season. 19 catches, 436 yards. He's had 3 straight 100-yard receiving performances, which has been such a big step for Florida State. He had 133 against Pitt. You saw the highlights with those 2 touchdowns a couple of weeks ago. But Mekhi, it's a kid who I think as he continues to grow on the football field as a total package wide receiver has a chance to be a really, really special player down the line.
And I'll tell you this, he was a lot of fun to watch in high school. I do high school games every week on TV and did a lot of Florida High games when he was playing there. He was a lot of fun to watch in high school. He's gotten to be a lot of fun to watch here at Florida State. And you start looking at things like, a 60-plus yard touchdown, both rushing and receiving in the same game. That's just not something that happens very often. But he's got the kind of skill set, the kind of speed where he's able to accomplish that. And again, that's something you've got to use. You've got to use those skills. You've got to use all of the tools that you have to try to maximize what you can do offensively here tonight.
Yeah, he's 22.95 receiving yards a reception. That leads the ACC, one of the true big play threats in college football here this season. A Seminole team offensively who has 520 yards of offense per game. That's leading the ACC, and it's second in the country. Can they get Mekhi Danzy involved tonight with 7 to 9 to maybe even 10 touches to get him going again?
I would love to see it. And you know, again, you talk about trying to get those big plays, those explosive plays. Danzy, Deuce Robinson. Can you get Squirrel White involved in that side of it as well? I think they've got the tools to do it, and Castellanos has shown that he can get the ball to those guys when they actually go to the explosive plays and try to get them. They've just got to figure out a way to do that again. Try to finish those drives out and put more points on the board here tonight. The yards have been there. Get more points on the board.
A big football game for Florida State here tonight, but we're going to take a break and talk some hoops when we come back. I saw Luke Laux, men's basketball coach, join us here. He visits the Game Day Live set presented by Bud Light. You're not going to want to miss it. It's coming up next.
It didn't start here.
But everything it stood for still does.
Some things change.
And some things never change.
Tradition, dedication to excellence, a program built on grit.
And driven by growth.
From the tunnel to the turf, every step forward tells a story.
Just like ours.
Where growth, determination, and a dedication to excellence meet.
Scott and Wallace.
Back here on Game Day Live, presented by Bud Light. Florida State Wake Forest getting closer and closer to this homecoming matchup. Ariya Massoudi, Eric Luallen, and I don't think you need an introduction to this guy, but we'll give you one anyway. Former Florida State point guard and now head coach Luke Laux. Welcome to the set, my man.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man.
How does that sound?
No, it's
head
great.
Head coach Luke Laux.
It's great. I'm excited, obviously, to be back and to have this on my chest again. And I'm thrilled that our season is here. We got our first game on Tuesday, but also thrilled to come cheer these guys on for football. Obviously, we're down a little bit and we need a win, and we got a couple of recruits in, so it'd be a great night if we cap this off with a win.
No doubt about that. I don't know how many people know that Luke played quarterback at Clearwater High School. Was pretty good as well. And Luke, when you got that call,
the Tornadoes,
that's right. That's
Luke,
good research right there.
No, I'm a Tampa boy.
You're a Tampa boy yourself, Luke.
There we go.
When you got the call to be Florida State's head coach, do you remember that moment? Take us through it. I know your wife Stevie's here as well. What was that moment like for the fam?
It was great. Obviously, we've been in the NBA. We've been to 3 different NBA cities the last 10 years with Golden State, with Phoenix Suns, and with most recently with Sacramento Kings. The interview process was not super lengthy, but lengthy enough that we knew we were in the mix, and there was a real possibility. But when Michael Alford and the president of the university, President McCullough, called, we were absolutely thrilled. It's a life-changing moment to become a head coach, but also do it at a university that's so special to myself and my wife Stevie, who was a swimmer here, and to bring our 3 young kids here to grow up in Tallahassee. It was so meaningful and so emotional for us, and we're so excited and thrilled to be back.
Luke, when you're putting together that staff, you look at how it ended up. You've got guys with NBA experience. You've got guys with head coaching and assistant experience at the Division I level. You've got guys with FSU experience. How much of that was, these are my guys that I want, and that's just how it ended up? And how much of that was, this is kind of the mix I want to get, and who can I find that fits that?
Yeah, there was definitely a design and a lot of thought that went into it. A head coach is only as good as his staff. We have 3 guys with head coaching experience at different levels, 1 a professional, 2 head coach in college at different levels, and a ton of Florida State ties. And that was really meaningful to me, to bring a group of guys together that know what it takes and know what it means to win at Florida State, but also have a mix of guys that are coming from the NBA, that know the style I want to implement in college, that have worked with me, that I have relationships with. So to me, I know I'm biased, but I think we got the best staff in America, and they're going to help me build this thing into a powerhouse.
And you even got one that you played with, Derwin Kitchen.
That's right. Yep.
You and Derwin played together. You were teammates. And,
yep.
How does that feel to have him now on your staff? You're the head coach here. It's your alma mater. One of your teammates is there with you.
Yeah, it's great. Kitch is a close friend. I played at a super high level here. Played at a super high level internationally. This is his first coaching job, but he has all the characteristics of a great coach. So we're going to help him learn the ropes as a coach, but he's going to help me and our staff in so many ways as a former player, as a former Nole, to pour back into these guys, and specifically in player development. The players tend to trust former players a little bit more, and he can not only get on the court and teach, but he can get on the court and show these guys, which is something super valuable to have on our staff.
You got a couple of guys, former Noles and Derwin Kitchen and Luke Lax, who played together. Another one, a special Nole who played football and basketball at Florida State. Charlie Ward had his jersey retired in a game against Florida A&M. We've got highlights of that. Luke, what a special day for Florida State. You guys were able to bring the community together and to see a legend have his jersey retired.
Yeah, Charlie, one of the all-time greats, obviously on the football field. People forget how good he was in basketball. All-time steals leader, someone who played, after winning the Heisman, played 12 years in the NBA, played in NBA title games, an all-time great. And his jersey should have been hung in the rafters a long time ago, and I was happy and fortunate to have a very small part in making this happen. And then for both of us as former point guards at Florida State, to coach our first game against each other in the Tucker Center where both of us played, I think was such a cool experience. And I know Charlie was thrilled. I was just thrilled to be a part of it. Someone who I looked up to as a kid and growing up and watching Charlie Ward play out here on the field and play in the NBA. So what a cool night, not just for Charlie, but for all of Tallahassee.
When he got teed up, did you feel like you needed to kind of get his back a little bit there, get teed up also, or
no, not at all. Charlie's a very quiet, calm demeanor, but he's a competitor. And just like anyone who puts on that jersey, it gets after it and competes. And he felt like the ref missed a couple calls and he let him hear it, and I loved every second of it.
Well, Charlie and I were football teammates in 1989, right. And I see him get teed up. I was like, what is going on? Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, no, and what a night in a preseason game to have your jersey retired and get a tee on the same night. I think that's the trifecta.
Yeah, trifecta, no doubt. Let's talk a little bit about this team, right? Your group coming up this year, 2 pretty good exhibitions. You played Alabama, showed well with over 100 points in that one. How do you feel about this group as they're gelling, a lot of new guys and a lot of new faces?
Yeah, I'm excited. We got a team that is full of competitors, a lot of mid-major guys that have a chip on their shoulder and want to prove themselves. We can really, really shoot the ball. We can play fast. Our roster is built by design. And I'm excited about this group. I think, the ceiling, who knows where we can go, but I know the floor, at minimum, these guys are going to compete and be connected and play together and work hard, which is what I wanted this roster to look like. And I think we're going to be able to surprise some people. I know the expectations outside of Tallahassee for us are very low. First-time head coach, a lot of guys that are unproven at this level. But within our walls, we really believe in our group, and we're excited to compete against some of these teams.
You talk about playing fast, and having watched Alabama and Florida A&M, it looks like a style of ball that the guys are really going to have a lot of fun and get excited about playing.
Yeah, it's a different style. A lot of college teams do not play the way we play. Alabama is actually one that it's very similar to our style. They get up and down. They try to attack the rim. They get efficient shots, a lot of threes, a lot of pace. And I told our guys, if we learn how to play this style, we're going to be able to score on anyone. Doesn't matter who we play, we're going to be able to score the ball. The next step is also learning how to play defense. And if you figure those two things out, you can beat anyone in the country. And I think our guys are enjoying this style because there's a lot of freedom and a lot of movement. And really anyone can go off on any night, which is fun for them.
You've got to get out there, obviously. You've got to put a team together, get ready for a season. You've got to recruit, too. What kind of feedback are you getting from recruits about the style of play that you guys are employing?
Yeah, it's clearly worked well so far. Our coaches have done a tremendous job with recruiting. Recruiting's all new to me, but I do know about relationships. And if you get me in front of a family, in front of a kid, and it's authentic, we're going to be okay. But our style is attractive, not only the style of play, but the way we train. We're training like an NBA team. We're preparing them with their diet. We're preparing them with their strength and conditioning, with their player development on and off the court. And then the style is the icing on the cake. Right now we have a top 5 recruiting class in the country going into that next season, which we're really excited about. And hopefully that's just a start. And we get this thing rolling, we win some games. I think the recruiting will take care of itself.
You know, one thing that really stands out to me about when you were a candidate and why I was rooting for you to get the job was the NBA experience, right? You've learned from guys like Steve Kerr and Mike Brown. You've been all sorts of different places, coached guys like Steph Curry and KD, De'Aaron Fox. What have you learned from all of that you can bring to Tallahassee and college?
Yeah, the biggest thing at the NBA level, obviously the talent is the talent. They're the best players, the absolute best players in the world. But to coach at that level, you have to build authentic relationships, and you have to know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, those guys will eat you up and spit you out before you even blink. And so you have to be a good coach. You have to be able to teach, but you have to build real relationships. And bringing that down to this level, to me, it's natural. And that's kind of why the recruiting is taking care of itself. If you know basketball, you know how to build relationships. And honestly, this is what I know, right? I know what it takes to be a Florida State Seminole. I know what it takes to win here. It's not a sales pitch because you believe it. And so I'm so excited not only to take my experiences from the NBA, from some of those coaches you mentioned, and the players that, I coached and helped, but I learned more from them than they ever learned from me. And to have those relationships to lean on as I take over this program is invaluable.
It doesn't hurt to be able to FaceTime Steph Curry, does it?
Not at all.
Just, hey, Steph Curry. not a big deal at all. Let's talk about this schedule coming up because it's pretty impressive. You went out and intentionally scheduled some of the best teams in the country. You had said at one point you wanted to try and play every Final Four team from last year, and you got pretty close. How do you hope that prepares this group? And on the back end of that comment about how important it'll be to get the fans at the Tuck for Alcorn State there on Tuesday night.
Yeah, 100%. I'll start with the schedule. I'm really excited. As a competitor, I want to play the best. At best, we're going to beat some of these teams, and at worst, you have a measuring stick of what the best programs in the country look like, and you can coach our guys harder because now they know, all right, you played the defending national title, you played 3 out of the 4 Final Four teams, you know what it takes. But our non-conference schedule specifically will prepare us for the conference schedule, and that was by design. I'm never going to run from competition, and some coaches in college probably call me an idiot right now for the way we scheduled. I don't really care, and I don't want to play cupcake games where you win by 40 and you get nothing out of it. I want to play the best in the country, and I want to learn from wins and losses. I want to learn and grow, and I want our guys to do the same. So I know our non-conference schedule is going to get us ready for a really tough ACC schedule. And when it tips up, I think our first 3 games in the ACC are Duke, Carolina, and NC State. We got to be ready to go. And then starting with Alcorn State on Tuesday night, I'm absolutely thrilled to coach our first game in the Tuck, our first real game in the Tuck. We need the fans to come out and support. Doesn't matter who we play. It's got to be a loud, lively environment. It helps me do my job, but more importantly, it helps the players do their job.
Well, they're saying they're sleeping on the Noles, which means you got them right where you want them.
That's right.
You got them right where you want them. Luke, appreciate you taking a few minutes and joining us, man. A real pleasure to have you on Game Day Live.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Time to take a break. When we come back, we visit with the one they call the keeper of the side cemetery. This is Game Day Live. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, your voice is amazing. Let him hear it.
When you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more.
Give me a word, give me a sign. Show me where to look, tell me, what will I find?
You're unstoppable.
I'm just getting started.
Well, I'm here to help.
At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking.
anything for Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL. Thanks.
Back here on Game Day Live, it's presented, of course, by Bud Light. We're getting closer and closer to kickoff between the Noles and the Deacs, our Seminole Heritage game. I mean, we have got to welcome in Doug Manheimer, the keeper of the Sod Cemetery. My man,
guys.
it's great
How
to
are
finally
you?
have
How
you
are
here,
you?
Doug. We spoke the last home game right back here, out here on the pavilion. Now we got you on the show. What an honor for us to have you here, man.
Well, you're kind. We appreciate it. You know, home games are never sod games. Only away games when we're against the crowd and against the odds. Lulu knows that. But we wanted folks to see our little casket here, that we do display the sod when we return. And a little sign there. We have that's for sod coming back from one of the best places, Steve Spurrier Field. We like that sod retrieval, don't we, Lou?
We do.
We do indeed.
We won two sod games, 1987 and 89 when
You
I was
did?
playing, yeah.
So we've actually got
Two sod games.
a cool video to set this thing up. Watch
right.
this, guys.
On a hill beside a field sits a cemetery, quiet and simple. A testament to teams' achievements that defied the odds.
The Seminoles became the road warrior.
In 1962, Dean Coyle Moore founded the FSU football sod cemetery tradition. When the Seminoles traveled to play against the crowd and against the odds, and they were victorious, they brought back a small piece of sod from the opposing team's turf. And that sod was buried in the cemetery with a bronze marker to remember the day that Seminoles prevailed, when no one gave them much of a chance. A month before Dean Moore passed away at the age of 90, he asked me to watch over the sod cemetery game tradition. I'm Doug Manheimer. And for 32 years, it's been my honor to serve as the second keeper of the sod cemetery.
I have chills, and it's not just because it's Halloween and that was spooky. This was well-timed by everyone involved to get this thing going. Doug, you've been doing this for a very, very long time. This has been a special project for you, no doubt.
Yes, Dean Coyle Moore, who founded the cemetery, was an old family friend. His son had passed away in law school, so I was sort of like an adopted son to him, and he took us out in 1988 and asked if we would carry on the tradition, and he actually had me bring my 2-year-old son with me, and he asked Andrew, he said, Andrew, when your dad can't do it, will you take care of the cemetery? So he was trying to pick up 95 years, of perpetual care. So it's been a great honor to do it, and it's a fun tradition. I like to say it's a grave responsibility, but
well played. That's well played.
Well, and it's something, too, the players take this very seriously. I remember the seniors, when I first heard the story of the sod cemetery from the seniors, they tell the younger guys about it. You get that first sod game, it's an amazing feeling to know you're not only going out there to represent Florida State, you're going out there, there's something to this.
Well, and I think it's a lot of fun on a Saturday, Lou. You've seen players return with their families, and they take them to the cemetery, and they point to those games And remember, because it's the tough game, on the road against the crowd, against the odds. Always at Florida, though.
Always.
So you had 2 there?
We had 2, 1987 and 89, 2 sod wins.
Well, it's always a great place to win. But sod games are fun, and the idea is motivation to have the Seminole spirit to do what other people didn't think you could.
You've had a lot of really good games, and there's a couple I think that stand out. Is there a best sod game, one that sticks out the most in your memory?
I think maybe it was the most fun away game that we ever did. 1991, we played up at Michigan. It was 1 versus 2, only 106,000 people there. And as Marvin said, we were bigger and stronger, and we knew that the bad boys from Florida State could beat those guys from Michigan. And we won 51-31. Great sod win.
That was a part of Bobby Bowden's mantra, right? Anywhere, anytime, any place. You'll play anybody. You got to give me one of your funniest sod stories, though.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think it was 2006. We played at Miami. Miami's not an automatic sod game. Florida is, but we played at Miami. We were an underdog. Gary Sismacia kicked a field goal to win, right down the middle, not left or right. So on Sunday, I called our linebacker, Buster Davis, was the sod captain. I called Buster. I said, Buster, did you get the sod? He said, well, we got it, Mr. Doug, but it's coming on the manager's truck. We didn't bring it on the plane. I said, Buster, how come you didn't bring it on the plane? He said, well, we cut that sod, and we put it in a Ziploc bag.
There it is.
And he said, since 9/11, we go through airport security. And he said, I didn't think a young man like me ought to be bringing grass in a Ziploc bag through Miami airport security. We put it on the manager's truck. And I said, Buster, I can't argue with you, buddy. So anyway, we always had, it does come in a Ziploc bag, and you got to watch out through security.
Yeah, they want to know what's possible with a bag of grass. I think that's where that gets a little scary for TSA.
Well, Buster always was a little smarter than your average linebacker. So
he was something else. I said, Buster, you're dependent. Mickey Andrews would have said, Buster, you're dependable, and that's important, right, Lou?
That's very important.
Well done.
That was a lot of fun.
A true honor to have you here. We appreciate you joining us for a couple of moments.
Always. Thank you, Sod Lou.
Yes.
Sod Lou, indeed. Time to take a break. When we come back, we're going to join all our friends live here on the video board at Doak Campbell Stadium.
It didn't start here.
But everything it stood for still does.
Some things change.
And some things never change.
Tradition, dedication to excellence, a program built on grit.
And driven by growth.
From the tunnel to the turf, every step forward tells a story.
Just like ours.
Where growth, determination, and a dedication to excellence meet.
Scott and Wallace.
Game Day Live presented by Bud Light. Welcome homecoming fans back here at Doak Campbell Stadium for the Seminole Heritage Game. Ariya Massoudi and Eric Luallen joining you here for a primetime matchup under the lights here in Doak. Lulu, when we look at the quarterback matchup, Tommy Castellanos and a two-headed monster for the Deacons.
Yeah, you've got obviously Tommy Castellanos coming off of that Stanford game. We had to kind of wait and see whether he would be available. Looks like he's going to be ready to go here tonight. And you mentioned two-headed quarterback for Wake Forest. You've got Robbie Ashford and Deshaun Purdy they'll bring both of them out there. They both have a little bit different styles, so a couple of different things to worry about for Florida State defensively there.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting at the quarterback position. Lulu, when you look at the keys to this one, how is Florida State going to get win number 4 on the year?
Well, I think, first of all, Florida State's got to come out and start fast. If you look back at the 4-game losing streak, Florida State's only scored first in the Miami game. The other 3 games, the other team scored first. Start fast here tonight. Big plays on offense. You don't have to worry about finishing off drives if you get an 80-yard touchdown strike, and then limit mistakes. Last game against Stanford, it was penalties 13. You want to limit the mistakes, limit the penalties, limit the turnovers, and that's a winning formula.
Lulu, big plays for Florida State. The explosives, they lead the country in that number. How do they find a few more tonight? Who do you look at?
You've got to look at Deuce Robinson. You've got to look at Mekhi Danzy. Those are the 2 big play threats for Florida State. They do it a little bit differently. Deuce Robinson uses that big body, a lot of strength to get good position when he gets downfield. Mekhi Danzy uses that blazing top-end, best in the ACC speed. And you've got to use both of those guys here tonight and hope you can get some quick strikes.
Couple of notes here. Florida State has won 11 consecutive homecoming contests, and the Noles are 2-0 in Seminole Heritage games with a 38-20 win over Duke back in 2023. That was the first time we debuted that. He's Lulu. I'm Ariya. We'll talk to you at halftime. We appreciate it. Enjoy the game. And for those of you still watching here on social media on the Seminoles Unconquered app, we'll have a Bud Light great moment. We're going to head over to Tully Gym when we come back here on Game Day Live.
Hey, your voice is amazing. Let him hear it.
When you work with someone who knows a lot and cares even more.
Give me a word, give me a sign. Show me where to look, tell me what will I find.
You're unstoppable.
I'm just getting started.
Well, I'm here to help.
At Truist, we believe the same is true for banking.
Omaha!
Anything for Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL. Thanks.
Back here on Game Day Live, presented by Bud Light. We're getting closer and closer to the Noles and the Deacs for homecoming under the lights at Doak. But time now for a Bud Light great moment, and it takes us to Tully Gym, where Florida State's volleyball team has won 4 matches in a row under Chris Poole. This time they take down Cuse. It took 4 sets, but they got the job done. Yana Henke, just fantastic for the Seminoles. It's a Seminole team that's trying to pick up some wins so they can get on the right side of the bubble for an at-large spot in the NCAA tournament. But a Seminole team who's been playing well at home here and at Tully Gym. It has been a fantastic atmosphere. Admission is free. Hope you guys continue to go out and support the Noles there in Tully Gym. All right, Lulu, when we're talking about the picks to click in this one, this should be a pretty important one for Florida State, right? And it's come from a couple of different guys throughout the year, but when you look at this one specifically and the matchup against Wake Forest, who stands out?
Well, I think the first one, and we talk about finishing drives, we talked about that earlier in the show. I think you've got to look at Gavin Sawchuk to be a guy that really kind of is the backbone of the team when they're trying to work the ball down the field. Really lean on him, lean into that running game, time of possession, lots of plays, lots of possessions, and he's the guy that they're going to lean on for that type of production out of the offense.
There's Sawchuk on the screen. Deuce Robinson, who continues to really play well for Florida State here this season. Some NFL draft buzz for Deuce, who has put together, again, a great campaign. Lulu, how do we find Robinson the ball. I asked you that earlier, but there's got to be some ways that Florida State can get him involved and maybe take some pressure off the rest of the offense too.
Yeah, again, use that big body of his. Know that you can throw that ball up. He's going to win that battle every time. So you've got to use that and take his strengths that he has and use those against the Wake Forest defense. Obviously, we talked about big plays, the importance of that for Florida State here tonight, and he's one of the guys that produces those big plays.
It's a Seminole team who, running the football, Sawchuk has still been really good. The rushing attack has been really good. Lulu, how do we get the run game going? It feels like the last maybe 2 or 3 weeks, it's come and gone and been a little sporadic.
Well, it starts with the offensive line. Those guys have got to get extremely physical down there. They've got to go ahead and just win that battle every time you line up. You know what your assignment is. The defense doesn't know what you're going to do. Take advantage of that. Get out there. Win that one battle. It's when you're an offensive lineman out there, it's a group of 5, but you've got 5 different one-on-one battles going. Win that battle when you go out there, and that's how you win the running game.
Well, kickoff will be a little bit after 7:30 p.m. here on this one. ACC Network has the broadcast for you. Homecoming Seminole Heritage game. The turquoise looks really good. All the fans are decked out in their turquoise. Lulu, myself, for those of you watching in the stadium and in the suites, we'll be back on the video board here at halftime to talk a little bit more. But I think that's going to do it for us here. Another good Game Day Live at presentation. I want to thank Kirby Kander producing and directing, our entire crew, all of our cameras. He's Eric Luallen. I'm Ariya Massoudi. Florida State Wake Forest is coming up in just a couple of moments. Appreciate you guys tuning in.